Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to yet another episode of Electricpreneur Secrets, episode 251, Presentation Success During Peak Anxiety. And this is yet another episode in this $1,000,000 launch series where we keep showing up to help you master your sales, simplify your pricing, and deliver premium level service, even if you're just starting out. Even if you might want to call a restart, maybe a refresher, go back to some basics, rebuild these foundations, because as you know, we can't be building a house on the sands of summer. I'm your host, Clay Newmeyer. With me, as always, my esteemed co-host, Joseph Lucani, and we are the Electricpreneurs, just a couple of master electricians with business addictions here and ready to serve. Your admission for this freemium daily coach call is to sit back in the hot seat, promise to take action, take everything we give, and again, report your wins back to us. Let us know how it's serving you out there. Joe, how you doing today, brother?
I'm doing good, man. I was gonna say, I know we talked last. I was in my feels for a little bit, and I just want to speak to like everyone who's out there and just say, you know what? Day by day, literally just day by day. That's all we can do. That's all I can do. It's all any of us can do. And luckily, I've got a great family. I've got a really great faith support system. I've got a great partner, and I can't ask for anything more than that because that's far above what most people have in my situation.
100%, man. I appreciate that. And I appreciate your vulnerability yesterday on the podcast when we went live and you talked a little bit about the booze topic. We've touched on that one before. I'll get vulnerable for you guys today just to even it out. We just lost like 4 viewers. I'm sure they're like, okay, fuck this. They're getting vulnerable again. Because today's topic, presentation success during peak anxiety, there's a reason anxiety happens, in large in part, believe it or not, it's actually the child within us. At least that's my belief, is that there's a lot of childhood shit that gets attached to this. And it really comes down to a couple of states. Either we're being loved adequately with no fear of that loss of love, or the opposite of that, the inverse of that, which is a fear of rejection, neglect, no love, and that's all tied to a place that we experienced, whether it was in our household or with a bully or with new friend groups that we've all experienced this in some way. Otherwise, there would be no anxiety around this connection point when all you're going to do is represent your whole truth, nothing but the truth, and try to help someone, right?
Amen to that.
So I've been working on something personally, and it's the Hawaiian art of forgiveness.
Ooh, huge help.
Ho'oponopono. Yes, yes, yes. And so honestly, I'm doing some weird stuff every day right now. Like when I go to the bathroom, don't worry, I'm not getting too graphic, but when I see myself in the mirror, I have to greet myself and say aloha with a smile. And the reason being, aloha actually means love. And so what I'm doing is putting conscious efforts into loving my child self, my inner child, to make sure that I don't have those anxiety moments holding me back day to day. Because as you know, we're not superhuman. We're real people doing a podcast because we're passionate about this, and our passion just happens to exceed the anxiety feelings that we have when we start each one of these. And we're always representing our truth and just trying to serve. So would it be wrong of us to deal with some of that anxiety, some of those root causes, and try to be more and more strong in that representation of this passion to help electricians every day?
It wouldn't be wrong. And you know what? Now I have one extra thing to add to my list. Self-greeting in the mirror.
There we go, man. There we go. There's more to it, but I won't bore you with that. Yesterday, we kind of ripped some people off.
Yeah, that's an interesting way of saying it.
You didn't expect that. Some people wanted help with converting at a premium level. And what we told them was all the stuff that's kind of pre-call. And it was amazing stuff. So don't take my words too personally. It was really important stuff. I'm glad we shared that, Joe. I'm glad that you helped people with that and that understanding of prioritizing the personal bits first and how much that's actually going to help with this conversion problem, or at least potential rather. So today we're going to get a little more in the nuts and bolts and address a couple of serious issues, including that anxiety. As you said, pre-call, like it was 3-4 seconds before you knock on the door, you just feel your chest sink. Help me describe that moment, man.
No worries. So in context, we've already called. We've made sure that this is a good time for both people. We made sure that we reestablished that, hey, we're going to come back to meet with everyone, make sure they're all aware. Customers like, yes, That's great. So in your mind, you're like, great, everyone's there. But we've all been to the situation to where we knock on the door and one spouse opens it and they say something like, oh yeah, John wasn't available to be here, but it's okay. I'm here and we'll just tell him everything we hear. And it's just immediate anxiety for about good 4 to 5 seconds that comes in. The reason being is because unfortunately, people have learned that you need both decision makers present in order to properly close a sale. But what they haven't done properly or been educated is how to properly position the people who are trying to make a decision. It's not enough to just have them in the same building. It's important to get them emotionally engaged in the questions so that when you finally give the solutions, they're seeing those solutions as problems they need to solve rather than things they should sleep on.
Mm. Sounds really valuable, man. Sounds
Mhm.
really, really valuable. I'm looking forward to unpacking this a bit. Do you, before we actually knock and let anyone open the door, do you have any tricks? Is there a breathing exercise you do at that
Yeah.
door, at that anxiety point? How do you prepare yourself mentally and emotionally for what's about to happen?
So what I would do is at the time, I was always listening to sales material in my van. So the
Mm.
entire time I was going from my shop to this call, I was listening to either our own process or other trainers or other programs, whatever at the time I was going through, it was always in my ear. So emotionally, I had it good. When I was still a man of faith, I was having my prayers on the way over and getting myself focused. And then once I pulled over and did my pre-arrival checklist, I made sure my uniform was clean, my beard was clean, my hair was good. Like everything physical was accounted for at that point,
Mm.
right? Those are the things that are going to trip you up in the middle of the call. You don't think about it, but like you showing up and your iPad not being fully charged throws you pretty hard in your presentation because now you're literally scrambling at the last second.
Right.
Or you finding out that, you know what, there was still some dirt, or you stepped in some dog crap on the way over, and you need to figure out how to clean it up before you go to the customer's home. Things like that, when you address them in advance, it makes the physical presentation interaction way less stressful. So when I got to the door, I would actually pace my steps. And anyone who actually watches the training video that I made, you'll know that it's the exact same counted steps from my van to the front door. It was a consistent pace. I didn't change my stride and I controlled each what I was controlling. I then went to the door. Before ringing the bell, I would have a deep diaphragm breath through the nose into the center, and I would make it fill my smile. That's what it was. Literally almost like you're filling up your energy to smile. So it
I
wouldn't just
can't
be
help
like,
but try it with you. I can't help but try
yeah. So
it.
it's like, imagine this. It's like you want to try and breathe. And sometimes people would be like, not enough. Literally, the smile comes with it. Let's do this. Go for the bell, hands to the corner, one step back, smile. And I knew at that moment, provided I followed every individual step, I have done everything that I can to have been perceived as a 10.
Mm.
And when you feel that you're perceived as a 10, your whole conversation shifts. Like the concept of look good, feel good,
Yeah.
look good, feel good, sell good. When you know you look good and you feel confident in your presentation, that will translate over into your confidence, into your tone, into your authenticities. So, granted, we're still talking about the pre stuff right now, but
Yep.
does it make sense that it's so important while we're there?
100%, 100%. So we can fast forward a little bit. Yesterday, we talked
Mhm,
about, let's say we brought in a pizza, we're able to have a slice. We talked about that transition, how to close
mhm.
up the food and start the actual presentation. I
Right.
also believe what we jumped into there, and maybe we missed this pre door breath, but that
Mhm,
pizza is going to help relieve some of this anxiety and that icebreaker
mhm.
stuff too. So it's not just for them, it's for you, which serves the relationship too.
Correct. Yeah. Because too often people try to jump right into it.
Yeah.
Right. And, I hate to say it in a wrong way, but it's almost like sales foreplay needs to happen. We've got
Mm,
to be in a situation where we're like, you know what? I'm not just going to jump right into what you want me to do. We're going to make sure we're all warmed up and ready and happy and confident before we do this. So the pizza, you can have any conversation you want. You're sitting down, you're doing your thing, you're smiling, you're engaging, you're asking about their day, you're lowering their walls.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate goal. Now, the meat and
Nitty gritty.
potatoes, if you don't mind.
Yeah, man. Jump right in. Let's hit it.
Okay. The main thing that I've seen that's done wrong is that every salesperson agrees that you need both decision makers. Where they struggle is getting both decision makers engaged, right? How many times have you experienced it where you say, I'm going to meet with both people, and then one spouse is in the room but is doing dishes,
Yeah,
or
100%.
will walk away and say, well, hey, I got to go to soccer practice, but John here, he's going to get the information and we'll just review it when we come home.
Now, I'm going to challenge that even because you're giving examples of where they get it wrong and where
Mm-hmm.
you're not reeling them in. But there's also the side like for those that are anxious or didn't get the pizza take or didn't get the coffee, or maybe you didn't set that up in that way, then you're prone to right now ramble off and speed through things without
Yep.
acknowledging the second person as much as you should.
Yeah, the second person needs to feel included. If they don't feel equally included or valuable, they start to zone off and drift. And you'll notice that the second person is often the first one who says that they need it emailed over. The reason being is that when they're not emotionally and mentally engaged, they're not processing the information properly. And by not processing the information properly, the confused mind says no. So,
Hmm.
you have two spouses, one who believes is a good fit, and the other who loves his spouse more than he loves us, who's clearly not comfortable. And some relationships are, I'm not going to talk about this here. We're going to talk about this later. Talk about
Yeah.
it together when we're alone. What's going on, babe? Let's figure this out.
Yeah. The path of
So,
least resistance and comfort in this case being a no during this time that you've spent with these people, trying to warm them
mhm,
up and help them make the right choice, to then defaulting to the comfortable choice later, which is likely going to be cheap and probably the wrong choice.
exactly. So what we've designed is something known as pulse check questions. And the reason why I call them pulse checks is because I have a warm body in front of me with the first person I talk to, but I have no idea, not a clue where this second person stands emotionally on getting this thing solved.
Hmm.
So the first thing that you'd like to ask is, well, hey Clay, I know it's been a little bit since last we've been here, and I haven't really got a chance to talk to your spouse, Marielle. Has anything changed since last we've been here? Just opening up and being like, has anything changed since we were last here? That reason we want to ask that open is I want to just set the stage that if something has changed, please let me know. That way I can make accommodations accordingly. If you decided suddenly that you wanted to go for an automatic instead of a portable, that's going to be good to know.
Yeah.
And I can make adjustments accordingly. Then, before we get started, do you have any questions on anything we're going to be talking about today? Facing Marielle, did Clay talk to you about what we were planning on doing today? Were you brought up to speed at all, or was more just, hey, we're having a meeting, please come sit down?
Build that relationship.
Allowing the other person to say, like, yes, well, here's what I was told of why we're here. Sometimes you'll hear, well, I mean, Clay just brought me over here because he was told that we were supposed to do something with a generator that he wants to do. Compared to, yeah, no, I heard about this. He told me about that there was water in the system. We got to get this taken care of. Okay. Now I really have a gauge of where they're at as well. We're going to keep stretching the coin a little bit and figure out where it is. So the next would then come down to it's okay. Now, Marielle, just so you and I are on the same page, when I met with Clay the first time, he had mentioned that you guys hardly ever lose power, like maybe once a year for like 2 hours apiece. Do you feel like that's an accurate representation of what's going on?
Yeah.
Why do you think we're doing that?
Good question.
The main thing we're trying to do in that situation is we're trying to get either a yes or a no. Most likely, one spouse is willing to downplay their need. They're willing to downplay the need because they're afraid of getting sold. But by confirming with the other spouse, we either get a yes or a no. If they say, well, no, we actually lose power a lot more than that. Clay, we lost power 2 months ago, remember?
Hmm.
Oh, yeah, I forgot, right? Okay, well, Mary, well, how often do you feel like we lose power? Okay, and then what is it you're looking to accomplish then? Like, why not just leave things the way they are? So the first is opening up and getting a no. On the second point, if they give you a yes, it encourages that you're a good listener. I'm glad to hear that's the case because I designed solutions specifically around that amount of outage. And I wanted to make sure that I was giving you exactly what you needed and nothing beyond that. So you've already gotten that understanding that I hear you. I'm being an active listener. We're now confirming the things that you're going to try and ask us to do. And regardless of the answer you give, I have a positive answer to it.
Love it, man. I can't help while you're speaking through this, but thinking of also there's these relationship types, and we all know someone who's in this, where the person you think or thought was the decision maker is actually a little bit on the puppet side. Because in reality, in the workplace, even we've seen this lots where there could be an overbearing boss who knows he needs to delegate, but is still actually a bit controlling, still looking over the shoulder all the time, still waiting for you to make a mistake and jump in. And I've seen
Yeah.
that dynamic in a lot of relationships too. And quite often it's maybe even unexpected where the female partner is that person where, as they would say, it might be wearing the pants. And that's okay. It's not to us to decide their relationship dynamic, but it is for us to honor that dynamic no matter what it is so that we're able to present them with the best choice and have them feel comfortable choosing it. Just wanted to squeeze that in there.
No, it's a good advice. I appreciate that. So continuing on, we're now going to talk about the actual faults that were reported to us so we can gauge what their stance on it is. So that might sound like is, hey, Marielle, when I was talking to Clay the first time, he had mentioned that the main reason you guys called us out was because the bath fan is so loud, it's waking you guys up in the morning. Now, was he just exaggerating with that? Like, is it really that loud?
Good
Once
question.
again, yes or no. The answer of yes is okay, great. We're good listeners and we're hearing that. What are your thoughts about getting that addressed? Compared to no, he's just exaggerating that, man. Honestly, I can barely even hear in the morning. Okay. Well, Clay, let's discuss this because I want to make sure that if only I'm offering something, it's something you both want. So what's your stance on this? Is it something that we should just leave be and not address? Or is it something you feel it's worth tackling and discussing?
Yeah,
So
good
I'm
question.
getting the gauge right off the bat of this is what we were told. The next is going in an order of priority. And it could be like, well, Marielle, when I was working with Clay and he was walking me through the house, he had mentioned that he wanted to take care of the outside aesthetic choices and then focus on the safety concerns that are inside. What are your thoughts on that? Because you know what? I mean, I've seen a lot of homeowners, I'm sure you have as well, where it's like, yeah, I've got a Federal Pacific, but I didn't call you for that. What I did call you for is I wanted this circuit over here taken care of. It's like, okay, so just so we're on the same page, we do know we have a fire hazard here, but that's a lower priority than making sure the outdoor sconces get taken care of. Is that correct? Oh, yeah. No, we're planning on selling in the next 2 years anyway. We just want to make this pretty before we sell it. Okay. And you keep that in mind. Granted, we have answers for someone who wants to keep a Federal Pacific in case they're selling. But regardless, it's
Keep
along
it
the
in
lines
mind.
of now we know we're on code. If we don't ask this question, we as electricians are biased. We're going to lead with what we think is the highest safety concern and build all our top options based off what we think they want. But without understanding what they want, we're appealing to the wrong person. Maybe they want the sconces before they want the panel. But if the sconces are only in the platinum option and every option beneath it is addressing the main system, we've given them an ultimatum where they have to spend the $15,000 to get their $400 worth of sconces put up. Doesn't sound like a fun deal if you think about it.
Tragic. Tragic. We get that wrong for sure, right?
Exactly.
Your chances of being, as this part of the series was about, helping us convert more and having presentation success really means that, hey, we're going to be able to land hopefully 80% of these. So yeah,
Now,
that order sounds pretty critical to that result.
additionally, I'm not sure how far we can go with it because then there's objection handling skills and there's narrowing down skills. I'm not sure how far we want to go into this.
We're about out of time on this one, Joe. So
Okay,
let's summarize
cool.
what we've covered today, come up with a couple
Okay,
action items, and we can dive into it a little bit more on the next one.
it sounds great to me. Okay, so in this concept, do you want basic or do you want all-star?
You take basic, please.
Okay, Not a problem. So in the basic action, this is going to sound a little silly, but you're meeting with two people, which means how many people should you actively be engaged with in conversation? Two.
Dose.
Instead of doing it the way we've previously been doing it, where we have all of the relationship with, I mean, hell, I'll meet the guy and then be friends with the dog and have no idea who the wife is.
Mm.
And yet we don't try to get closer to the wife because we're not sure if that takes us away from the sale. But it's not about the sale, it's about the service. And how can you serve if you don't know everyone you're serving? So know who you're serving, and your presentations become more on point just as a result.
Valid, man. Valid. You know what? I want you to take the All-Star too, if you're comfortable with that, because
Sure,
I
happy
don't
to.
want to set anyone up short on this one. And I feel like this was really well complemented by your contributions today. So please
My pleasure.
give
I'm
us an
happy to.
All-Star too.
So, an all star in this situation is not only focusing on talking to both people, but being willing to say, if I don't get this right, that I'm willing to redesign the presentation right here. And that's scary for a lot of people. But can I explain the pro and con of it?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's say I were to come to your home, I'm meeting with you and Marielle, and I think, based on what you're telling me, that you want to get a generator, right? That's what I'm understanding. You're telling me you want to get it permanent, you want to get automatic, you want to do the whole 9 yards,
Yeah.
right? So me, I'm coming into your home and I get ready to discuss an automatic with you. But during the questioning when with Marielle, she's telling me, Clay, we haven't lost power in 3 years. And the last time we lost it was for 2 hours. I mean, we're talking about buying a new car and you want to put $20,000 into a generator system plus maintenance? I don't, I mean, do what you want, do what you want, Clay.
Yeah.
And then she walks out the room. The concern here now is so many electricians will be like, all right, I'm going to present my solutions and then we'll get back to me when you're ready. Instead, is calling a timeout and saying, Marielle, I love that you're here. And that's exactly why I wanted you here, because this is your home too. And don't want to put something into it that's not in line with what you want.
Mm.
So what I can do is there's other hybrid options we can come up with that can give you the power backups that Clay's looking for, while also being reasonable economically and something you can take with you if you plan on moving. If I could do that, what would happen then? And now I can have a presentation, even if I had to take 10 minutes to redesign it, but I didn't lose them. She wasn't just doing dishes. She wasn't disappearing. She wasn't scrolling. She wasn't listening with one ear. We're doing things for the right reason now. So, moral of the story, you're working with two people, serve two people, and the sale will come from those two.
I love that, man. I feel like there was something writing on the wall there and just like letting go of expectations too. And again, holding true to that service, which when we said converting at the highest level yesterday, I mean, at the premium level, that's what that means at the highest level. And that's always going to mean being grounded and taking care of the person in front of you. I can only see that going wrong. I know I've been there too, where you just steamroll the presentation and all of that has to do with nerves and the fear of that flexibility in the moment. Because
Yeah.
otherwise, why would you? If you knew it wasn't going to serve them, would you really present that?
No. And to be honest, it's one of the reasons why I learned to slow my speech so much. Because if you look like you're being more intentional in the things you're saying, people will listen to you more. And if you're with two customers who are probably going back and forth each other the entire time, but you're not changing your tone, you're not letting their enthusiasm bleed into your enthusiasm, who still has control over this call? We do. So as a result, make sure that you control yourself before you focus on controlling others.
Nice touch. Okay, we can't mic drop this one anymore. You heard it here first, folks. Take care of your customers. Put service up. That's going to help you convert at a higher level. We've got some more great stuff coming on the next episode of Electricpreneur Secrets. That's going to be episode 252. I can't believe it. We keep showing up. We've never been so consistent in anything before. Well, Joe has. I haven't. Here we go. on, on her journey to help you master sales, simplify pricing, and deliver premium level electrical service. Guys, thanks for joining us. We'll see you again tomorrow.
Truly an absolute pleasure. Thank you for being here.